Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Saturday, guys. Want to say hey to all my subscribers. New as well as season, got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Saturday, guys. Morning or just turned 12 o'clock. Saturday afternoon. um, so I want to talk to you guys about two things. A third thing was in my spirit, but it left my spirit. So if it comes back, then I'll probably just kind of prolong a little further at the end of this recording. But the first thing I want to talk about is stop seeking, stop searching, stop looking for, stop viewing the social media, stop the Google search, etc., etc. And then next I want to talk about, someone asked me to elaborate on how to grow their business. What are, I guess, some fundamental tips when growing your business and how to expand. She was pretty much asking me, how do I get my clients? I think she's in healthcare too. But I want to kind of wrap it all up within one because, of course, everyone is not in healthcare, but a few things will tie in regardless of what career you're in. Okay, number one, let's talk about stop seeking, stop searching. Okay, so because so many people are in a still season, a standing season, an isolation season, whatever season you're in, right? So it kind of leaves that idle time because it's easier for you, again, to try to get ahead of God and try to do what only God can do. So then that leaves you with this idle time when really you're supposed to be doing some things. God have you, a list of things for you to be doing, but sometimes you get distracted or you may be finished. So what happens? You find yourself Googling, checking social media, right? Asking people or asking friends to give you information, etc., etc. Okay, the reason why this can be very, very, I guess dangerous, if you will, is because when you're doing that, when you're viewing photos, when you're reading things, that keeps you in the fleshly realm. You're seeing what is now. So it's not going to look like what God says because you're looking at it from a fleshly realm. And so Satan will literally keep you distracted by sending familiar spirits to give you certain downloads in your mind and say, hey, check this, Google this, look at this, look at this. And before you know it, you find yourself sitting here staring at something or reading something, and it literally just depresses you because it's almost like this is not what God says. So why is this looking all successful over here, but this is not? You got to be very careful with that. Remember, God is supernatural. So you can't even focus on what you see. You got to be so confident that whatever you see in the physical realm can't even shake you. It can't shake you because you know what God has said to you. So I don't care what it looks like. I know what God has said. So I know what it looks like is only temporary. It's only temporary because I know what God has said. And so we're human. So, you might kind of get a little side eye and check over here. Listen, we're human, okay? But trust me, you get convicted at some point. You get convicted, and even if you ignore your conviction, you'll realize that the more and more you're staring, the more and more you're reading, you will start to feel this heaviness that comes upon you. And then before you know it, you're sad. Okay, so that's because you're ignoring your convictions because you already know God says, hey, stop doing this, and you keep doing it anyway. So he's going to convict you first. Then you're going to act like you didn't hear him, and you just keep staring, and now you're sad and you're depressed. And now what happens? The enemy has a foothold on you now. So your spirit is depleted. Your spirit is depleted because you just got depleted by sitting here allowing familiar spirits to enter your mind, your body, your soul, etc., etc. And now you're all depressed and you're like, well, God said this, but why does this look like it's so such and such? God don't care about that nonsense. God don't care about nothing in this physical realm that looks like something. Again, God will shake up the world. God will move mountains to get you to your destiny. God's will, not yours, God's will. If God said it, it is. But you got to be very careful about what you're seeing, what you're focusing on. You got to get yourself so stable, so confident in whatever filling your spirit up looks like for you. Again, that could be reading your word, that could be fasting, that can be nature, whatever you do to get your spirit filled up. Get your spirit filled up and let it stay there. But the minute you start wavering from the spiritual realm and looking at what things look like in this fleshly realm, you're going to be depleted, 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 and depleted until you're completely empty. And that's when Satan's going to really enter, because you're empty, spiritually empty. Don't worry about it. If God says it is, it is. Don't worry about who looks happy over here. Don't worry about who business is thriving over here. Who looks like they got the narcissist may look like they're happy, but you're the one. Don't worry about none of that stuff, because in the right time, in God's timing, everything will be uprooted, everything will be shifted, and everything will be shaken up. Speaking of shaking up, that actually that's the third thing that had penetrated my spirit this morning. Again, many of you know, right, if you're tapped in, and I'm sure God has been giving you the downloads, that a shaking is coming. A shaking is coming. It's very, very present in the spiritual realm. A shaking is coming. Now, what does that shaking look like? That can be a number of things. Personally, I do believe that there's going to be a shaking in the sense of there's going to be more food shortages, more than what people think. There's going to be a lot of things that happen where most people are not prepared because they're not even focused. They're just living life every single day as if life is going to go back to some type of normalcy that it was prior to the pandemic. Things are going to get worse. But if you're in alignment, right, you're chosen, right? You love the Lord, right? So you don't have anything to worry about, but you do have a duty. Sorry, guys. You do have a duty to be prepared, not only for you and your family, but for many of you, prepared even for other individuals. So that's one side of the shaking. The other side of the shaking that I've been feeling in my spirit is that people who have not been able to get to their destiny, right, to their callings, to their whatever, because there's giants in your territory, and it's like you can't even see how you're going to get one hand up because it's just too many. That shaking is going to literally shake things where people who are in the wrong places will fall off. This is why it's crucial for you to be prepared and do what God has been asking you to do, rather than trying to do only what He could do on the other side. Because when that shaking happens, you get to go ahead and slide right in easily because you're prepared. A lot of people who've been held back for different reasons, these could have been the outcasts in the family who, it was maybe the only one who could, let's just say, I don't know, maybe had a different father, and everyone treated this person horribly. All the siblings, even the parent, all treated this one sibling horribly. Okay. Individuals who may have been suppressed on their jobs, right? You should have been promoted 35,000 years ago, right? Because maybe there's some racism going on and everybody else is getting promoted and you're, but you stood. You stood, but there was still no movement. This could be individuals who've married or who are dating generics, counterfeits. A shaking is coming. This can be individuals who have been denied in regards to getting certain homes and certain whatever you want to get finances, but it's like people keep denying you, right? But you kept fighting. God is going to blow your mind, honey. You getting land, listen, a shaking is coming. And I'm not in denial that, again, this world is still full of racism. I just don't care because I go where I want. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think. I'm looking you dead in your eyes, and I'm going to enter any room I choose, even if I'm the only one who looks like me there. Period. Right? So my point is, I'm not in denial that racism is still very, very present. But personally, a lot of people feel like what's going on right now with all this craziness in the world is like a racial war. Here's my whole thought process on that. Racists have always been here. And I believe it will be here until the end of time. Personally, I don't even care. Right. I feel like this shift is more about evil versus good. So it doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, you're purple. It doesn't even matter. If you're evil, you can get it. If you're evil, you're about to be moved. What? Well, I don't even call no names. I was about to start calling at least 10 names of people who are just falling off for whatever reason, right? Either they're blowing their brains out, sadly, because they know it's coming. They know certain things are going to be exposed. This is why Hollywood is currently tanking and will continue to tank. Nothing is going back. If anything, it's going to be shifted. So it's going to be a new Hollywood. But all this stuff that people have been doing for so long, people are falling. They're in jail. They're blowing their brains out. They're exposing each other. And what is God doing? God is the ones who get it. They are making sure that they are being obedient to what God is requiring them to do, because the shift is here. The shift of good versus evil. Period. Wealth transfers are here. Period. But you have to be sure that you are properly aligned. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect, because I'm far from perfect, right? But you have to have the right heart posture. You have to love God. Your intentions have to be pure. Again, it doesn't mean you're perfect. So are you perfect, sanctified, holy, religious folks? You're about to be shooken too. You're going to have to answer for all the people who you ran off because they didn't have black stockings and white shoes. Kizzy, Lord. Okay, back to God. I think I'm finished there. Okay, so there's different kind of shakings that's coming, but just know that if you're if you're proper if you're properly aligned, then you're good. You're good. Period. All right, so now let's talk about. Okay, so I had a young lady who emailed me in regards to wanting. She actually had my book. She got my book off of Amazon. So she saw numerous of my clients. Right, you guys just pretty much know more about Jennifer, and maybe one other. I'm not even sure. But so for each story, for each chapter, there's a different one of my clients. And so she was asking me, she's like, wow, I would just read, can you tell me how do you even get your clients? Because I'm in healthcare as well, and I really struggle with that. So I find myself working my fingers to the bones for other people and not even being paid properly, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to speak on that, but I want to tie it in where, because again, not most, but a lot of people are not in healthcare. So I want to try to tie it in the sense of it will make sense on whatever profession you're in. All right, first thing first. One thing that a lot of people have been conditioned to believe very early on, it could have been even said to you, or it could have just been a demonstrated something within your generation, your family, or whatever, where people tend to be afraid of red tape. Right? And sometimes remember that conditioning slave mindset has been passed on since slavery. So you have generations and generations of people who really believe like they just have to work for someone. And there's nothing wrong with working for anyone. Let's be clear here, right? And just never try to prosper or challenge or ruffle feathers. So they have to kind of just stay in this, mediocre mindset. So sometimes that's truly a generational thing. And that's why I tell people, be careful when you're judging people. You may have came from a family of, like I was listening to Judge Lynn Toiler the other day. She was saying that her father had a lot of mental issues, but he was a lawyer. And then they were raised in a neighborhood. She's like, she was only raised around doctors and lawyers. So a lot of things were really planted into them early on. Well, okay, you have that group of people, but then you have a group of people who may have just literally been raised by two crackheads and who, like, no one graduated past 7th grade, And now this person is adult struggling, but now you're judging them because you have that foundation. So rather than you try to grab their hands and help, if they want help, you rather judge them and not understanding that we all are a product of our environment. Same thing how some women judge men by not being great fathers or being great husbands. But a lot of the time, this is going left, but whatever. But a lot of the times when you meet these men and you really, really dig up into their background, most of these men did not have the examples. Do you just make excuses for them? No, because you have parenting classes, you have mentors now. So they're putting the work in now to try to become, which is a process, to become better husbands, better fathers. Then great. But you may have had a father who was the traditional man, the masculine man who ran that household like a man should, right? Your father was that. But then the husband you married is the complete opposite. I mean, you chose him, but whatever. He's the complete opposite. And now you're constantly emasculating him because he never experienced what you experienced. Again, it's not giving a buddy pass, right? It's just saying, listen, we got to work on something here now, right? Let's find these mentor classes together. Phone, if you don't stop, let's go through these mentor class. I'll support you however you need me to support you. Right? I don't even know how that went that way, but whatever. So the point I'm trying to make is be kind to yourself. Society already beats people up enough. Right? Trauma already beats people up enough. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up because you're 60 and you never own a house. Don't beat yourself up because you're 35 and you have 9 baby daddies. They've already beat you enough. God darn it. I'm about to get annoyed now because see, my spirit is really spiriting right now. And this phone, I forgot to turn off notifications and it is sickening. And that's only one phone. Society, and I can't even turn it off right now, guys. It's probably going to hang you up, and Satan is really trying to make me end this conversation because my spirit is really like on fire right now. Okay, be kind to yourself. They're already beating you up enough. Anybody who's around you, I don't care who it is, man, woman, cat, or dog, if they're sitting there pounding in your head about you should have done this and you should listen, get rid of these folks. The only people you should have in your life is people who are building you up. Yes. They should challenge you, but not make you feel less than because you maybe had a late start because they had an early start. See, I don't follow the rules. You're not going to tell me what age I should be married. You're not going to sit here and ask me 1,000 questions about why I don't want children. If you want them, then go have 75. They're beautiful. Kids are always at my house, but they're going home. I ain't got time. Period. My career is really my children because most people with children, I just can't, all that, oh my God, they set my anxiety off, right? I love children, I promise you, but I'm an empath, so it sets my anxiety off and just, but the same person, like my best friend has 4, who I love her children just like mine, seriously, but she cannot tolerate my line of work. God, she lost a job one time somewhere else and she was just in need of it. And I knew it was not a good fit, but I was trying to look out for you, girl. Honey, I think her pressure went up to 743 over 400 in a matter of an hour. We got to understand. It's important for you to do what works for you. Stop allowing people to put their failed lives and compare it or try to put that thing on you. How are you trying to put something on me and you're failing in that area? I'm going to do me, period. I don't care what you say, period. But you can only get to that point when you really know who you are. And again, knowing who you are starts with not changing who you are. Most people are struggling with confidence and self-esteem and trying to identify where they fit is because you change yourself. Maybe you change yourself for a marriage. Maybe you change yourself for a relationship. And sometimes not even intentional, right? Because I changed for 6 months, but God got me straight real quick, right? So sometimes it's not even intentional. It's subtle. It's very subtle. But when you lose yourself, you lose your way. So a lot of people are lost, especially if you've been dealing with narcissists, right? Or traumas from childhood, et cetera. When you lose your true authentic self, you lose your way. When you lose your way, what? You lose your purpose, you lose your call. You don't even know who you are. How am I going to try to find what my purpose is? And I'm not even me. I'm not even me. You have to, you got to unpack what stole your identity. That bad marriage, right? He or she told you all this stuff was never true. They just told you because they wanted to beat you down so bad that you wouldn't leave or ever move on. You got to unpack that stuff. Was it trauma? Was it violations? Was it molestations? Was it bullying? You got to unpack that stuff. Got to unpack it. It's the only way you're going to get back to your core. Only God can help you through a healing process. Can't do it on your own. If you try, it's going to take you to addictions of all sorts. Sweets, foods, whatever. So you got to get back to the core. Guys, please, I'm begging you, please forgive me with this phone. I've gotten so great at turning off the notifications, and this phone has not pinged all morning. This is a perfect sign of how distractions work. Satan truly wants me to go ahead and hit this stop record button to restart it, and I'll lose every single thing that's in my spirit. But he's a liar. He has no edges, and he's a liar. You can only be confident, be grounded, and this is leading to your jobs, your careers, when you know who you are, regardless of who agrees with it. Stand firm in who you are. I can take you to a conference hall right now. You can meet my elementary, middle school classmates. They will all tell you the same thing. I have just always been unique. I've just never cared about. I was me. I was just me. I'm not following your hairstyles. I'm going to do what I like. I'm not following your dress codes. I'm going to do what I like. You will change before I change. Period. The only person who will change me is God and any man who is called, or any person who is called to speak into my life. Not society. For who? Change for who? Society is jumping off of bridges. Why am I going to listen to you? So, when you know who you are, that means when you enter certain rooms, right? When you get past the idea about red tapes, right? Now, granted, that's going to take some building up. You're going to fail at some things, right? But the whole thing is, what do? You keep trying, you keep trying, you keep trying. You research. And then you will start to understand, like, wow, it's really not as stressful as I always thought, as I was always taught. In fact, some areas will be even more stressful. But now God will guide you to places that you can get help, because everything is not for you now, right? Listen, transparent moment. I am not a numbers person. I am not a numbers. I am not a numbers person, right? But we are not to be everything. God will send you a mate who is a numbers person. God will send you a spouse who's a numbers person, or he will send you to an accountant. Like, don't try to do it all if you can't do it, right? Take the stressful part, and put it to where it matters versus trying to do, everything. So once you get past that fear of red tape, through Googling, through YouTube, what are you trying to do? Let's say you're trying to start a candle line. Okay, so what do? You start Googling how to start a candle business, right? Go on YouTube, how to start a candle business. So now when you see other people on YouTube who's currently doing it, message you. Listen, never be afraid to reach out for help. One thing I've learned is that people will help you quicker than you think. A lot of people just don't reach back to help because the people they're trying to help are just not ready yet, and it's a waste of time. But when someone reaches out who is ready, what's the saying? When the teacher is ready, when the teacher is ready. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's so true. Most people will genuinely help you. They want to help you. They just don't know who wants help and who's going to waste their time. So reach out to these individuals, right? And see if you can network together. Support their business because they'll remember you, right? Not that you're looking for anything in return. Just be supportive. Next thing, my healthcare folks. Transparent, honest moment here. There is no amount of money in the world that can pay you for the job you do. Someone can pay you $300 per hour, and it is still not enough money when you are a hands-on caretaker, LPN. RNs aren't really too hands-on, right? But your CNAs, your LPNs, they're more hands-on. CNAs more than anybody, or just caregivers more than anybody are hands-on. Somebody can pay you $300 an hour. That's still not going to be enough. This career is literally a calling, not a job. You have to be called to it. If not, it's going to burn you out. If not, you're not going to stay. You will jump jobs every 3 weeks. It's too much. It's too much to try to handle if you're just looking for a paycheck. When I pull applications, I don't care about how extensive your application is because you can have 15 jobs. That just tells me a lot about you. You're not stable. How long can I trust you when things get rough, right? Are you going to run just because things get rough? So I don't even care about this long list of, but what I care about is the stability. Been on a job 6 years, been on a job 5 years, been on a job. That says a lot about you, right? As well as when I ask certain questions. I'm just not asking your random questions. What did you like about your last job? Was your last boss really nice? No. I'm digging deeper, right? Because I got to make sure that it's a calling for you. If it's not a calling for you, you're not going to be good to my patients, and you're not going to be good to yourself, because you can't be good to anybody when you're burnt out. And this job is probably the number one job, in my opinion, that will burn you out. But here's a tip. Don't always just go to somebody's job, right? Let's just say you're working at an assisted living right now. Fine, great. But you already know they're not paying you enough in general. I mean, just in general, they're not even paying you enough with such a heavy workload. While you're working, right? The whole thing is about being strategic, having that leadership mindset. You just don't sit there and wait on anybody. Like the whole idea is to outdo the next person, respectfully, healthy competition. So while you're sitting there working, be hustling on Craigslist or any type of maybe Indeed. I don't even know what the more modern job sites are. Create your own posting. Don't just go looking for someone. I'm hiring for X, Y, Z. No. That's fine. You can comment to them too, but create your own. So since we're talking about caregiving right now, but again, plug in. We're talking about candles earlier. So if it's candles for you or caregiving for you, right? Create your posting. Caregiving is a gift, not a job. I understand the importance of family members having time. I understand burnout. I understand that X, Y, and Z, like sell yourself. If you're selling candles, talk about how your wax honey got some coconut oil up in your wax. Your wax honey, they can't touch, nobody else can touch your wax. I don't even know what goes in candles. Nobody else can touch your candles. You got to sell yourself, right? Because now when you're doing it yourself, people see confidence. Like, wow, woo, this person here. Like, sell yourself. Sell, Satan, goodbye. I bind you up right now in the name of Jesus. Be gone, period. Quiet. I command it. Let's see if he got the message. Sell yourself. When you sell yourself, you can then set your own price. So now, because you're running your own ad, you're just not applying to other people's ad, which still do that too. But now that you've created your own ad, you get to create your own price. Right? You get to negotiate your own price. Speaking of that, that also takes you to be confident within yourself, right? I remember walking into a meeting one time. I was the only black person there. I don't care. In fact, I was the only woman there. I don't care about none of that, right? Well, I lied. I was a little nervous. I won't lie. I'm just a person who pushed past fear. And I just remember like sitting down and seeing all these people who look like they probably had, more whatever, more lead, more whatever. But I kept hearing God tell me, you sit your behind here and you better be confident. And I'm going to give you every single download you need in your ear. I'll tell you what to speak. Blase. These are people just like you. And so when my name got called, I walked up, head up, look you dead in your eye. How are you? Each and every person who I walked by, how are you? How are you? Guess who got the contract? And then they gave me their price. No. Right? That looks pretty good. However, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know I'm rare. That's why y'all called me and got me as the only black person in this room. Because you already know what it is. You're not going to give me your price. I demand my price, period. And guess what? I was just like, Lord, please let these people. But I had to say what he told me to say. He gave me the price. I wanted to lowball myself because I'm just like, well, I don't want to miss out. I gave them the price. And guess who got the contract? You got to know who you are. Lastly, among your stability, here's how I get my clients, and here's how you or anybody else will get clients. This is the best way. There's no tricks. Everybody knows it. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. And word of mouth only comes when you have upstanding integrity and character. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When everybody else on the job walks off, when they quit, and this has happened several times. One of y'all probably listening. The way you're at now. Okay. That's petty. If God haven't trusted you with something, it doesn't matter who leaves. It doesn't matter if you have to go back and get it from the mud. You go back and you respect whatever God has blessed you with the same way you did from day one. When nobody else shows up, you show up. If you got to fire the whole team because they're not doing things to, not perfection, if you will, but doing things to be sure that the thing that God have blessed you with to call you to steward is not being done the correct way, you got to get rid of these folks. You have to. It's going to hurt you many of the times because many of them you have, but it is what it is. So making sure that the job is done accordingly, showing up when no one does, keeping your word, being there when everyone else is leave, having that stability where you are on jobs for years and years and not hopping around like a bunny every 6 months to another job. You can't, I mean, and no disrespect to anybody, right? Because I don't know, maybe you don't like your job, but you got to find some place where you're going to stick. Because that length of time is going to tell you a lot about your character. It's equivalent of somebody who's been married 8 times in 2 years. You got to be the problem. Because nothing in life is easy. There's going to be friction. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. You just can't pack up and bounce because things get hard. Period. So I've been through hell and back But thank God we just don't look like what we've been through. People look at you and they think like your life is so easy and that God just have favors, and they don't even understand. Anybody who you see and you think the person is blessed or whatever, these people got a whole pamphlet of hell and back paragraphs for you. Trust me when I tell you. And this is also why people can tend to be. I'm not an anal person, right? I'm not an anal person, but I just don't play when it comes down to certain things. I'm a quirky, fun. I love life. I work hard, but I play harder. But when it comes down to certain things, I just don't play with. So that alone builds a reputation that when one of your clients transition to heaven, or it could still be here, right? They're telling their family members. They're telling this one. They're telling this one. They're telling their friends, right? They're telling the next generation. To the point that you would have to either hire more people or have to start turning people down. So word of mouth will take you a long way, but word of mouth is just not going to come just from any type of lifestyle. No, you got to breathe that thing seriously. You got to breathe it. Got to live it. You got to do it well. Can't give up so easy. Got to go through hell. There's been time I've worked for free because clients' money may have been tied up in some type of what do you call it? I can't even think right now. But something to do with like courts and stuff like that, right? Or I work for free. I could easily say, oh, no. You can't pay me for 3 months. Oh, you better go home with your whoever. No. I'm not in it for the money. God will take care of me. I've worked for free. I've had people quit and walk out in the last hour of their quote unquote job that they love so much. And this is my purpose and my calling. And child, please, right? Quit hours before. I've been in different states and had to hop on plane and came back to work. Period. So you got to be solidified in whatever thing you're doing. You got to stick to it. Even when it's not working, you got to still stick to it. You can't start the candle line because it's not working. You want to start selling beef jerkies. Y'all, I got to go. I got to go. I think I had so much fun last night. I got to go. You know what? You got to go to Satan. Goodbye.